All right, so from the Facebook group, looking for insights on an idea. I wanted to test this, but asking is more efficient. Is the following possible? I have site.com, and site.com has authority. IDA, DR, okay. I have a subdomain on site.com, subdomain1.site.com. Subdomain carries authority from site, correct? Carry domain authority, but not necessarily page authority, but you're right. Can I create a redirect from subdomain one.site.com to second site.com while site.com stays live, and then second site.com gets authority from gets authority from subdomain one.site.com. Questions like this are hard to read. So both second site.com and site have authority. In other words, is it possible to spread authority to multiple root domains from one authority domain via subdomain redirects? Yes. I'm doubting this works, but also read some things that indicate it might work. It does work. It does absolutely work. There's a little bit of a loss when you're pushing. That's called domain authority manipulation, guys. That's like 19. That's like 2012 stuff. Like that's the stuff that we did that worked really freaking well in like 2012 to 14, like 2012, 13 time frame. There's still some. I mean, there's still a little bit of benefit to pushing domain authority, guys, but it's not. Honestly, look, you can set that up. It will work. There's a little bit of a loss between redirects when pushing domain authority. It will absolutely increase your domain authority from your subdomain that you redirect to another root domain. But my point is, like, I'm not sure what your end goal is. Like, why do you want to push this domain authority to that other domain? That domain authority manipulation as a ranking factor is like almost obsolete. I guess there might be some benefit to it, but you have to have really high DA numbers for that to really have an effect. It's much more about relevancy than it is about domain metrics, which are proprietary metrics, right? Marco, I'll let you comment on that a little bit. But again, look, if you want to do it, yes, it will help to boost domain authority from the second site. There is a little bit of a loss. So what I'm saying is if you've got a 42 domain authority on your root domain, and you try to push that over to a second site via subdomain or any way you want to do it, it really doesn't matter. But via a subdomain redirect, you'll likely fall somewhere in the 30s, the mid 30s with domain authority. And it's not going to happen overnight. Sometimes, I don't know, when I used to do a lot of domain authority manipulation, we used to do a lot of it. Like Moz cycle or the Moz like numbers would refresh. I can't remember. I think it was every other month, like every 2 months. I don't know.
Every 90 days.
Every 90 days. Okay. And so if we would do a redirect, like for example, we called it link laundering, and we do 301 redirects from spam domains. We would go find expired domains that were on closeout because they went through auction and they were really shitty, spammy domains. A lot of the times they're Chinese domains that would have hundreds, sometimes thousands, or even tens of thousands of subdomains, right? The dropped domain would have tens of thousands, sometimes anywhere between hundreds to tens of thousands of subdomains. This is what we used to do, and it worked really well. And we would go buy a domain, buy one of those domains, and then we would set up a redirect script, a catch-all or wildcard redirect via htaccess. We point the domain to a host, a cPanel, and then we would set up an htaccess file that would do a wildcard subdomain redirect to whatever we wanted to, and we would push domain authority. We would do what's called a double 301 redirect. So we would redirect it through one domain first, and then push it over to our final target URL. And I'd get domains that had 55, 60 domain authority, mostly because of all the accumulated domain authority from all the subdomains, right? We do the redirect and then push it over to a brand new domain, and I could get my domain authority to jump from 1, which is a brand new registered domain, to mid 40s, like usually within one Moz cycle refresh, but sometimes it would take 2. So it would take anywhere between 90 days, so 3 months to 6 months to see that kind of a push. But again, I've found over the years that using that as purely like a ranking method, which used to work phenomenally, it really is ineffective at this point. The only thing I would suggest is, like I said, what I would add to this is that if you have really high domain authority and you can push some of that to another domain, it will help it to respond better to other off-page signals. But that's about it. It's again, it's not something that I even bother doing anymore. Like I don't even look at domain authority and page authority numbers anymore, honestly. But if you want to do it, it will work. Marco, what are your comments on this?
I would say he's better off on concentrating on relevance. If they're relevant, then you can throw DA and domain authority and page authority out the window and push relevance.
Right.
And you could even throw like a drive stack on wherever you're directing. You could put a drive stack as buffer and redirect to the drive stack, and the drive stack will then push the power over to the new site with even more relevance. Because in the drive stack, you could push just tons of relevance in there, whether you want keyword relevance, what do you call it? Keyword plus URL, brand plus keyword relevance, which is really what you really want, is that brand plus keyword relevance. Because what you want to become is you want to become the keyword for whatever that niche is. So that when people start thinking about those keywords, they don't necessarily think about the keywords, but they think about your brand. This is where I tell people, Coca-Cola, Xerox, Band-Aid, Scotch tape, all of these people have done fabulous branding where they've become the brand for those keywords. Now, I know that it's not simple to do, and we don't have the deep pockets, but a way to start doing that is by relevance. And how we do it, how we take advantage of it, is by going into a drive stack and creating all of that keyword relevance, which relates to the brand. And then we push maybe to T1 branded, which will flow into the website, or maybe we'll go direct to the website. We'll go to the Google My Business listing. There are so many ways to take advantage of this, but you're pushing relevance. We don't think metrics. DA is a third-party metric. Trust flow and citation flow, third-party metrics. We don't bother with that. What we look for is relevance, and as long as the on-page is tight on both websites, they will both benefit. And I could go even further, but then I'd be getting into stuff that's only in RYS Academy Reloaded. I could start talking all kinds of things about embeds and the nasty stuff that you could do with embeds. But again, as I always say, we'd be doing the people that pay for the information a disservice by giving it away for free.
Yeah. If I may add real quick, that was one of the main reasons. Like the spam, we would just throw spam at a domain, it will rank, or it will get a higher domain authority, or we would do the subdomain manipulation and whatnot. And that was one of the reasons why we stopped paying attention that much to domain authority and page authority, because of they were so easy to manipulate. That's why we migrated to trust flow initially, and then we had to develop, as Marco was saying, relevancy and trust and authority, as our own metrics, our own way of doing things, because it was so easy. Like, again, you would have these Chinese domains with, 60 domain authority, and they were all spam. Yeah. So that's one of the many reasons that we stopped going through those domains. And also because, Moz will start delaying the updates and whatnot. And at some point, it became a lot like waiting, the PageRank update, the public PageRank update from Google that would go out every month or so. So it became like that. So we stopped paying attention to that altogether, and we started focusing a lot more into rankings and actual results.
Yeah. So again, yeah, it will work. And what I would recommend if you were trying to push it to a second site anyways, that I would, guys, remember, if you push domain authority to a subdomain, it will benefit the entire domain. Remember, domain authority means it's a site-wide or domain-wide, including all subdomains, including all inner pages and posts. All of them will benefit from that, will receive the same domain authority. So instead of pushing from a redirect to a secondsite.com, you could push to a non-indexed subdomain on that secondsite.com, right? And so you do that so that you can set up a subdomain. You don't even really need to put a piece of content up on it, but you could. But you could set like an HTML file to say like no index or whatever, and then just point all of it to that specific subdomain, because it will benefit the root without people being able to really see what you're doing. But again, I really just think that's kind of a waste of time, unless you've got some massive amount of authority on your first site. that you're trying to push, in which case it would help a little bit. But, and you know, you have to be really, really high domain authority numbers for that to make much difference now, in my opinion, based on how the algorithm works now.